Hey everyone, Lavana here, a creator and founder of Ignite Your Shine, and I'm so excited to be sharing this webinar with you all. But full disclosure, we went live with this morning and I lost the file. Yes, I have been on the calls with Apple and every tech person I know and on recovery programs, and yeah, so anyway, we're just going to re-record this. So thanks for coming along for the ride. I appreciate it. So we're going to get to minor moments making major impact. But first, I'm going to share with you a former student of mine, Jessica. I share this in every presentation because I want you to understand as an EduStar the impact that you make. So this is Jessica, and I had her as a 7th grader, and she showed up every day to school with just this amazingness about her and this love of basketball, and that's what I remember a lot about Jessica. But you know, I moved from the great state of Ohio to Florida, and I lost track of Jessica. But 16 years later, I get a Facebook message. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I want to share this part with you where she talks about having a teacher that leaves a lasting impression. Right? And then at the end, she says, I do know that I was not the smartest student you taught in your career by far, but it's not how you made me feel in your class. And this made me think about all of you. This is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I think about the impact that you make. And you'll never know the extent of that impact. But it's when students have a chance to reach out to you. They have that mark that you remember that, oh my goodness, I did this and with that, and we did all these things, and just to have a chance to connect with students, I think is highly, highly valuable. So I want you to walk away with today knowing how amazing you are and how much I believe in you, and I think that you are shine-tastic. So when we look at looking at minor moments and major impacts, one of the biggest things that we look at is language with Ignite Your Shine, because internal language and external language are super important. Because your brain often believes what you tell it. And that self-talk that you have can spiral into good, could also spiral into bad. So looking at how do we reframe things. So this picture here I'm sharing with you because oftentimes we talk about a bad day or a tough day. And I'm going to ask you to challenge your language on that. Because so many times when we say it's been a tough day, we have automatically captured the day as being negative. But it's not. There's all these different things that happen throughout the day that are also good, but we get so focused on that negative, which is what the brain does for survival. So knowing that, this morning I was actually on my way down in the parking garage. As you can see, I live downtown. And so I'm in a high rise, and I went down to the parking garage, and a gentleman got on the elevator at the same time I was getting off. And I've run into him a few times, and he said, you know, I just locked my keys in my car. I was like, oh no. And he's like, yeah. And he goes, along with my phone and my wallet. I said, you heading down to security? And he said, I am. I'm gonna see if I can call somebody. And as I stepped out and started to walk away, he said, could have been an accident. He's so correct. What a great way to reframe this. And it's something I often talk about in my keynotes or my workshops, is that how you reframe things matter. Because what if that happening not only maybe saved him from an accident, but a fatal car accident? So when we learn to look at things in a light way, in a positive way, not that everything is all positive, not that everything is all roses, rainbows, and unicorns, we know that, but really learning to reframe how we see things, because things are going to happen. Right? So instead of writing off the entire day, what if we looked at it instead as a moment? Right? And this is the language we use in Ignite Your Shine. It is literally a moment. So a moment in time. Because moments, they come and they go. They happen fast. They happen slow, they happen long, they happen short. They are totally going to happen, but how we look at them is what's going to matter. So if we think about things as being a moment in time, and again, some last longer, but it's a moment, because in the whole span of life, it really is a moment in time. And I think we could really help students and others view things with the mindset of how they see things, and to be able to handle things better if they had that sight. Because I tend to look at things differently. So you're seeing a picture here of a mountain. And with the mountain, I look at 3 different levels. Now, when I do a workshop on trauma, which is called Trauma, Turbulence, and Tumbleweeds, Building Resiliency and Strength Through Adversity, we look at different levels, and I think of like a bottom level as having some stress, and then increasing it to anxiety, to increasing it to trauma. Well, in this picture, I also look at how we view problems, how we view issues, things that happen. So a lower, smaller problem, for example, would be what I call a speed bump. Right? It's a tiny little hiccup in the road. And we can go step up to a foothill. Now, foothill is a bigger issue, something that we're thinking, okay, this may take a day, maybe a couple weeks to get through. But then we get to the top of the mountain. And that would be a life-changing thing, something that we really are challenged to get through. Looking at those 3 different levels, though, I want to know, do you think that it's possible that your mountain is my speed bump? Or do you think that my foothill might be your mountain? Yes, absolutely, right? Because it's in the eye of the beholder. I remember when I taught 2nd grade and I had Charlie who would come in, and sometimes he was just a little spitfire. Like dust would go being thrown, and so would chairs, and I'm thinking, okay, this is not going to go well. And what I realized is, I asked him one day, I said, Charlie, what is going on? And he said, Johnny won't talk to me. And I thought, really? Because Johnny is going to be your best friend in 2 minutes. It's how it works out in 2nd grade. I mean, I only taught for 1 year, but I had learned that rule along the way very quickly. But that's not how he saw it, right? In his eyes, this was, a foothill, not even a mountain, because it's his best friend. So it's in the eye of the beholder. So learning to shift our views and see how we see things from a different way, a different lens, can be so amazing with how we view things to help us cope in life and to be better. Right? Better problem solvers, better at what we're looking at. So speaking of moments, I have to share this with you. So this was not a Mom of the Year moment. I was traveling and I was very frustrated, and I decided to send this text message to my daughter. So it says, if you're having trouble now, how will you be able to take care of a car, hold a job, get good grades, and contribute to the family? But guess what? No, I don't stop there. I don't stop there. As a matter of fact, I go on. How many kids your age are trying to just stay alive? I'm tired of the pity party and you comparing yourself to the Joneses. We aren't the Joneses, and someone will always have more and have it easier. I want you to be a go-getter and not let anything be an excuse or barrier to you. And I'm like, yes, Mama's on a roll, telling her, like, giving her life lessons. And this is my daughter's response. This was a moment. Really? Really? Yes, clearly a generational gap there. But I would tell you, this was awesome because it gave me the humor that I needed. It made me laugh and take a step back and go, okay, is this the appropriate time? Is this the best way to do parenting? And so it was that aha for me that, wait, this is a moment. You are upset, and maybe rightfully so. I honestly don't remember what I was upset about. But her response, I thought, oh my goodness, right? We got to have a little bit of fun with some things. So with that said, I think it's important for us to be aware of words, actions, and thoughts because they do matter, right? The brain believes what you tell it. So Dr. Daniel Amen, he calls them automatic negative thoughts, ants. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, right? It sounds like, okay, so I have a negative thought, who cares? Well, let me put it this way. If you had a piece of breadcrumb that I put on your kitchen counter and one little ant found it, what else is coming? Yeah, the entire colony is moving in, right? It's the same thing in the brain. You let one negative thought, which spirals to another negative thought, and another one, and next thing you know, you have an entire colony of automatic negative thoughts in your head. The danger zone of this is that these become beliefs, right? These become beliefs, and beliefs are like chains wrapped around you that are very difficult to unlock because they've gotten so ingrained in the brain that it's believed to be a truth. So I think about how many of our students have false beliefs about themselves. You know, one person said something to them and maybe another person or the same person said it over and over and over to they get to the point that they're like, you know what? It must be true. Like, I do stink at math. Math is hard. I hate math. I'm never going to be good at math. All of that language becomes that belief. It could be a student who says, you know what? I am ugly. Everybody tells me that I'm ugly. You're right. I am ugly. And they begin to have that belief. And I personally have such a huge belief that if we could get students to understand the amazingness, or as we call it, shine-tasticness or shine-tastic piece about them and understand how shine-tastic they are, that we can break down some of these barriers that the students already have and are continuing to build as they get through school and then into life. I truly believe that if our students understood the strengths that they have and the amazingness about them, that we would reduce bullying, violence, suicide, a lot of those negative things in life. Because if you think about it, I'll use one as an example, just for a quick example, is if I have confidence and believe in who I am and I have those beliefs that I do have this greatness about me, and that's not in an arrogant way or selfish, greedy way, which is something I get into in my workshops. But when we approach it from that view, as a bully, I have no reason to bully you. Why would I bully you? I have no reason to bully you because I believe in who I am. I believe in my own greatness. But I also believe in you and honor and value you. This is also true for adults, isn't it? Yes. So Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Love that saying, right? Because I told you the brain believes what you tell it. So whether you think you can or you think you can't, your brain has already decided whether yes, you can or no, you can't. So many times we hear students say, I can't do this. I can't do this. They're frustrated. What's that 3-letter powerful word we can add to the end of that? Yeah, the word yet. We've heard this. Carol Dweck has done a lot of work with growth mindset and fixed mindset. And so what I love about this phrase is that I can't do this. The brain has made up the mind. I can't do this. Forget it. But I can't do this yet. The brain hears hope. It hears possibility. So I love doing this with students. And I was in Texas one day and I did a 6th grade assembly, a 7th grade assembly, and then an 8th grade assembly. And I get to the 8th grade assembly and I call this young lady up and I asked for volunteers and she comes on up. And I turned my microphone off and I said, hey, I just want you to know that what you're about to do in front of your 600 friends, that, and again, they are friends, right? 600 friends, I want you to know that you have to be silly with me. You got this? And she goes, no, I don't think I can do this. And I said, okay, what if I told you that I was right here beside you to support you? I'd never humiliate you. I'm right here to support you the entire way, but you do have to get silly. Are you in? And she said, okay, let's do this. I was like, yes, right? That be willing to take a risk in front of 600 peers. And so I ended up doing this whole activity with her that I love, love, love. And the goal is I teach students that, and adults too, that taking the difference between I can't do this, I can't do this yet, is when the brain has this belief about itself. And I have to make this powerful enough of an activity to break through that belief. So I had her say it in the most frustrating voice she could. And then I said, okay, say it to me 2 more times, but this time add the word yet. And you really stress the word yet. So she did. And she's like, is that it? And I was like, no. I said, as a matter of fact, I travel a lot, but I actually live in Florida and I'm about 45 minutes from Disney World. And I love Mickey and Minnie Mouse, but I love their voice. And she was like, oh no. I said, so here's what I was thinking. Yep, you guessed it. I had her say twice, I can't do this yet, in her best Mickey or Minnie Mouse voice. She got to choose. And then I took it to another voice. And this was time was a Texas Southern drawl, like throwing the word y'all. Like, I can't do this yet, y'all. But she had to go really deep with it. Oh my goodness. It was amazing what she did. And I really hope that that was such a powerful moment for her. Because again, I don't ever want to humiliate a student. That would totally put the brain into a different state. And that's not what we want. But I do want it the next time she's frustrated that she's like, oh, I can't do this yet. That lady brainwashed me. Positively, yeah. Right? So I can't do this yet. The thing is so many times, though, we can't do something or we mess up, we try to hide it. And I'll share another piece with you that was not a great, proud mom moment, but I bought my daughter a birthday card and I signed it really fast. And as you can see on the screen, yeah, she doesn't call me Lavana. She calls me mom. So that, well, I'm just going to have to mark that out or throw it away. And I thought, no, I don't want to mark it out and throw it away. Then I don't have a card and I didn't have time to make a card. So I looked at this and I was like, come on, it's what you do with mistakes that matter. And that's a valuable lesson to teach students, right? It's what you do with a mistake that matters. What is that takeaway, that benefit, that lesson that they get from this? So with this, I thought, what can I turn this into? It became that. Oh yeah. I definitely want some creativity points because you see that exclamation point, that heart became the nose and the lips. Yes. Okay, so you're also seeing why my professor in college said, okay, you draw like a 2nd grader. And my face must have said it all because she was like, no, I just mean that's where your art education stopped. And I was like, yeah, lady, you can stop because you're not helping me right now. But she's not wrong. I look at this now and she's not wrong. But I think how many times did I hide mistakes from my students? I rob them of an opportunity of showing them what you do with it is what matters. So how many times did I say to a student, oh yeah, I meant to do that, right? Or I say to the whole class, oh yeah, I was just making sure you're paying attention. Again, robbing them of an opportunity. Are we sharing this with our students and allowing them to see what you do with a mistake is what matters? Speaking of mistakes, you may not know these names, but Dr. Spencer Silver and Art Fry, they both worked for 3M. And Dr. Spencer Silver was given the task to create the strongest adhesive ever invented. And he was like, oh no, what am I going to do? And he tried and he tried and he tried. He kept failing. He tells his buddy Art Fry. Art sings in the church choir and pieces of paper drop out of the hem every Sunday. So one Sunday he bends down to pick up the piece of paper and he recalls this weak adhesive that his buddy had been achieving. That was not supposed to be achieving. It's supposed to be strong. And they sure enough went to the 3M lab. And my question is, how many of you use Post-it notes? Yes, Post-it notes come in every size, every shape, every color. Yeah, we all use them. A multi-million, if not possibly multi-billion-dollar business at this point, but it was a mistake. Our students need to know this, just like they need to know that when we break pottery, oftentimes I just throw my ceramics or pottery away. But this is an art form called kintsukuroi, and they melt gold down, and then they put it on the pottery to create a new form of art. But you can see it's beautiful. And if you Google kintsukuroi, you'll see so many gorgeous pottery pieces made from what was an accident or a mistake. So language matters. Now, sometimes with our students, they get really hot and heavy. Like I told you the story about Charlie. A great tool to give students, and I don't care whether they are pre-K, whether they are 12th grade, whether they are adults, it works for everybody, but give them bubbles. So if you have a student who's having a hard time calming down or transitioning, give them bubbles. The beauty of bubbles is that it's all automatically mindfulness, right? Because you are doing something and you're watching the bubbles go and they float and they're pleasing to the eye. But the beauty of bubbles is that when you blow them, you actually have to slow your breath down, because if you blow too hard, it pops all the bubbles right then. They don't even come out. So if they have to slow their breath down, they're starting to change the state of where they are in the brain to go calming effect, to be able to go from what we see here as a thinking state, from an emotional, and we have a surviving state back here. We want them to be able to move back up to here. So when they're upset, they're back in here. We want it to be here and get that blood flow back. Bubbles is one great tool to be able to take what might be, seem like a big deal to them, but take that minor moment of giving them bubbles and watch the major impact that happens. I hope you're seeing this theme all the way throughout, that those minor moments that you create and do create major impact. So speaking of impact, I'm going to introduce you to S.H.I.N.E. I'm going to go through this. Some of you may be more familiar with it, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently today. So we're going to look at the letter S, which is all about self, and we look at impact, right? The impact that we have on ourselves and on others. So on the screen, you're seeing words pop up. Which of these words would describe you personally? So personally and professionally, I want you to think about which of these words tends to be your strength. And your strength may not be totally up here, but here's going to be my point. When it comes to minor moments and making major impact, we really need to help our students see their strengths. It breaks my heart when I sit with students and they tell me, when I ask them, what are your strengths? And they tell me their weaknesses. We have done them a disservice if that is what they're telling us. Because if you look at Gallup polls and Gallup research, strengths will be your strengths. Weaknesses will never become a strength. You can improve a weakness, but it will never become a strength. So what if, and this is a big mission of Ignite Your Shine, is what if we switch that lens to what are our students doing well and using that to teach instead? Right? Because we all know a child who, and I love doing this in workshops with teachers. So I know a child who, and they can just put names up there and put all these things. Like I know a child who is great at culinary arts. I know a child who takes care of horses. I know a child who, when someone is hurt, they immediately rush over and make sure that they are okay. I know a child who has high empathy. When we start really changing the lens of the focus to what is that child greatness about them? What is it that are their strengths? And helping them to see that amazingness about them, that, again, shine-tasticness. And speaking of shine-tastic, there's a school who has done all the Ignite Your Shine lessons. Well, a classroom has. Their kindergarten classroom. And they 2 or 3 weeks ago now sent me this book as a surprise. Now, I love this. This book inside, every kindergartner in this class drew a picture for me and then wrote a whole thing about what their strengths are, what they're going to work on because they can't do it yet. And then they finished every single one with I'm Shine-tastic. Love it. I had the privilege of what was supposed to be a Skype with these students and the teacher about a month ago now, I would say. And what they didn't know is that I was actually there. So the moment I was supposed to Skype, I actually walked in. So I surprised them, but they had been working on this surprise at the same time, and they never even told me. How cool is that? The awesome part about this is this school is going school-wide next year with Ignite Your Shine. So again, minor moments to make a major impact, and we look at what can you do to serve, and that's one of our biggest things is we're always looking at how to serve. Right? So because you have these strengths, but using it to serve is such a powerful tool. So I love this quote by Pablo Picasso. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. That's service. And that's the actual industry that we are in as EduStars, as educators. This group here, I have a little bit.ly link there. You could either go to YouTube and put in Ignite Your Shine, or type in that bit.ly URL address that you have there, and you're going to see this video pop up. And this is a 4th grade class out of New York. They happen to do all of the Ignite Your Shine lessons, which, by the way, they are videos and they are lessons, and I'm going to show you how to get one free here in a moment. But there are lessons that they go through. And this one, they took the lesson, they want to do even more, they wanted to serve. So they actually came up with this entire idea themselves and worked through it, and even had a student, a 7th grade student, edit it. So this 4th grade class wanted to send a message to you and to the world. So what can you have your students do? Right? Administrators, I really hope you're having your lens on with this, because there's so much as a leader that you can take all these bits and pieces and model them and embed them and share them with teachers so that they can run with these ideas. And you create not just an amazing school culture, but you also impact the district and impact the community. So we're talking parents and families and business owners. Like, this is part of the mission of all that we're on here. So for your free lesson, which would give you a video and a hands-on lesson to be able to do with students, and the Jumpstart Guide. So it gives you a 5-step Jumpstart Guide. You're going to text the word SHINE to that phone number that you see on the screen, 813-940-4545, and I'll have it up at the end as well. So if you're about to miss it right now, no worries, you can do that. So on that note, we have that, and I want you to understand that Ignite Your Shine, should you ever be interested in doing it, first of all, if you do bring one of us in, and I'll share with you the team in a second, you get all the lessons, lifetime access for free by bringing us in. Or if you hear one of us speak at a conference or one of those kinds of venues, same thing. We give you a code so that you have access for lifetime access for this. So Ignite Your Shine, I just want you to know, since this is the premise, the foundation of what we do, that it is not a program, because a program tells you exactly what to do, when to do it, and roll it out. And that's not what we're about. We're about being a way of doing and being. So a way of doing and being. So we want to help shift culture and make this something that's not another thing to add on, but it is something that's already embedded in your day-to-day. So this is the PD team. Should you ever be interested in us, we do keynotes, workshops, huddles. Huddles just mean like professional learning communities or small groups, whether it's students, whether it's teachers, families, parents, etc. And we do assemblies as well. So you have Elizabeth on the left, you have Brandon in the middle, and then of course me there as well. So that's our PD team. So I think it might be locking up on me. It wanted to do this earlier today too. So let me come out for a second and just jump right back in. And let's try it this way. So S is self, H is heart, right? So heart is all about passion. It's about fire. So think about this. This one's going to be really short for our time today, but what passions do your students have? Do they love Fortnite? Do they enjoy watching movies or reading books? Do they like dance? What is it that your students enjoy? Find those passions, because I'm going to challenge you to use those passions to teach. Yes. Can you imagine? Because this is our whole piece that we look at. You take S under self, you look at strengths, gifts, skills, talents, and you marry that with passions. And that is the powerful way to reach students, because now you're teaching them through the lens of what they do well. Talk about differentiation. This is a whole new way to approach with it, taking the strengths and mixing that with passions. So giving them an example that they can relate to. And if you have any questions on that, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'd be happy to share with you my thoughts and my ideas on that. Because the goal, though, is when we marry the strengths with the passions, the goal is to have a student just like this 5th grader who said in front of all of her peers, and all of her 5th grade classes, she said, you know what I learned about Ignite Your Shine is that I get to be me. And I would love that for every student to have that belief, and adult to have that belief in themselves. How amazing would that be? And then we get to the letter I for inspire. So we have S for self, H for heart, I for inspire, because we all know things are going to come, things are going to happen. That's just life, the way things are. And so I know that this time of year as EduStars, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. And I know that you're getting a little bit of a boost this week, but I want you to remember to keep your tank full going forward. You make such a difference with our students. I thank you so much for that. Do not let that tank get empty. Find ways to fill it up. That is that inspiration. So take care of you, because life feels like this and it looks like this. I know you don't even know what to look at in this picture. We wish it felt like that. Okay, go there for a moment. But it's really like that, right? So what is it that you're looking at and looking for those positives, because the brain will find the negative and take care of you. And yes, you can kiss yourself. I don't care. Kiss the mirror. That I'm not here to judge. That's totally up to you. But I want you to love you and take the time for you. So the challenge for you at the end of this webinar is to schedule in some time for you. Some time to take care of you, not for family, not for friends, but literally to take care of you, and put that in twice a week. You heard me. I'm holding you accountable twice a week. Yes. Another piece you can do for inspiration is, I love to do this with schools. This is something you can do as a staff or individually, is you write an inspirational letter. And then I love it where it can be either to yourself and you put it in an envelope and you hide it from yourself. So maybe it's the dashboard of your car. It could be further back in your lesson plan book. It could be in a folder that you're going to get to later at the end of the year. At some point where you're going to forget about it and you just know you may need inspiration. Or you can write it to somebody else. It's so awesome to do this as a staff and have people switch letters, or to mail them and just say, okay, we're going to be partners. We're mailing this letter 2 weeks from now. It is so much fun to do this. It's one of my most favorite activities, but we do this with students as well. So it's an inspirational letter. And then we also have the S.H.I.N.E share cards. So if you go on igniteyoursshine.com, you will see that we have the S.H.I.N share cards. There's a template there. And what it is on one side, it's blank. So you can write a message to someone. And on the back, it explains what you do with the card to be able to share some shine with others. It's so awesome. Some 7th grade students, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students actually in Texas, when I huddle with them, they had the idea of going and taking these S.H.I.N share cards. And they said, can we do this right now? And I said, well, what do you want to do? And they said, we want to go hide them in the library books. How amazing is that, right? A student the next day, or maybe not even 10 years down the road, to find that. That's incredible. What an opportunity. And then also under Inspire, I have to share this with you because so many of you will know about the bracelet already, but those of you that don't, we have a bracelet that is the symbol of Ignite Your Shine and serves to inspire. And it's made out of Dallas, Texas by a gentleman who hand makes every single one of these. Brian turns a bicycle spoke into this beautiful artwork, but it's an awesome reminder of how you shine. So he shapes it into the shape of a light bulb, and he wraps it 5 times for S.H.I.N.E. And then the way you wear it matters. So on my wrist, you're seeing it face you. Right? If I look at it, it's actually upside down to me. But that's because I'm facing outwards today, because I don't need the shine. I feel great. We're doing this webinar, maybe the second time, that's okay. We're doing this webinar, but if I have a tough day, nope. Remember, it's a tough moment. You take it off, turn it around, and have it facing you to remind you that you shine. And then we get to the letter N, N is navigate. Right? Navigate, so S is self, H is heart, I is inspire, and is navigate, because this is all about doing something with that. It's about setting some kind of goal, because you see, you don't have lazy students. You have unmotivated students. And unmotivated students often lack dopamine. Right? They lack that little reward neurotransmitter that goes, ooh, I like this, I want more. So if we can get students that feel some of that success and get more and more and more dopamine, we get them on a roll. So one of the lessons that we do to help is we do the goal and chain. So you could do this with students. You could do this as a staff. How cool would that be? But you create a goal, and every time you achieve a piece of the goal, you add another link to it and another link to it. A 5th grade class, well, the whole 5th grade at a school did this, and they had all of these chains everywhere, and on the last day of school, they do a clap out. So if you don't know what a clap out is, it's where every student in the school, like pre-K through 4, for example, whatever grade levels you have, you could do this for any level, but 5th grader, let's say in this case, it was the last group, the last grade level in the school. So all of the students line all the way from the 5th grade classrooms all the way to the buses and cars. And these kids came out, I saw a video, and they had the chains literally round them like a heavyweight champion, dragging on the ground as they walked, looking at every student as they applauded them and clapped them out. How cool is that? This is amazing, you know, but to think about the inspiration behind this. And of course, we encourage you to do what we call Shine Squad, and that is just, it could be a committee, it could be students, because we believe very strongly in student voice and educator voice, staff voice, parent voice. But at Shine Squad, they come, and their whole point is to share shine all throughout the school with different things that they do. And that gives us the letter E. E is exceptional, because you are becoming the exceptional person that you were meant to be, not anybody else, who you were meant to be. And so Ignite Your Shine, as we weave through all this and we look at what are those minor things that you can do, those minor moments that some may take a little bit more time than others, but leave that major impact. So my most favorite activity I've been doing is a best school ever is what I call it. I did this recently in Illinois with a pre-K through 12, actually it might have been K through 12 school. And they came into the faculty meeting. We had chart paper all over the tables with markers, and they stood around, and in the middle they put best school ever. And then they had to, no limitations, no time, money, resources, no limitations. They could imagine what would the best school ever be. This is such a fun activity to do with your staff. I highly recommend you do this. I do it every time I come and work with a school now. So we sit around, and so they put all these ideas, and it'll be things that they can do within the next day, to things they can do the next month, to things they could do like maybe a year or two down the road. And the reason we talk about this is that even those things that you think, there's no way, I don't have the time. How can I fit this in? There's no way I could fit this in. Well, you know what? If the state or the federal government came and said tomorrow that you had to do X, Y, and Z, and you're thinking, I don't have the time for this, guess what? You make it happen. So how can you create the best school ever? And we even had, one of them was to have a Starbucks in the school. How awesome was that? Yeah, so that might be way down the road, but hey, if you don't think about it, how does it ever come to be? So best school ever activity. So I'm gonna wind it up with this. If you remember Jessica, she was that student of mine, right? And Jessica, I just want to update you. She actually graduated from the University of Kentucky with a master's degree in education. And as of today, right now, she is a principal in the state of Ohio. We had a chance to reunite. So I share this with you to never ever forget the impact. I love you as EduStars, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do. You will never be thanked enough, but please know that we are cheering you on here at Ignite Your Shine, and anything we can ever do to support you, to even think through how do you take a minor moment and make that as a major impact, we are always here for you to help think through that. Here again is the website. And at the bottom, igniteyourshine.com. There's my email address if you have any questions, and of course, if you want to be a part of us, text in the word shine to that phone number again. And by being a part, you're part of our family at that point. And we even send out what's called shining moments every month. So Kristen, who has completely organized this webinar, and I give her a huge, huge shout out and thank you for this, because I could not have done everything that she did without her. It was amazing what she did. But Kristen actually puts together Shining Moments, which is our monthly newsletter now, and it highlights EduStars like you. So if you're interested, just email me. We'll make sure that I forward that on to Kristen, and you get to be a part of our monthly Shining Moments, because it's EduStars like you that are making the difference. And by the way, I call you EduStars because you're educational rock stars. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of the year. I'm sending you lots of hugs, and I'm with you. And again, anything that we can ever do, please, please just let us know. Thank you so much.